Hey, Willie Armellini from Flowers and Scents with your industry buzz. Today, we're going to interview my brother, David Armellini from Armellini Logistics. And should be an interesting one. So without further ado, David Armellini. Okay, so David Armellini, one of my three brothers, in this case, the youngest brother who's the president of Armellini Logistics, is going to tell us about floral logistics. Hey, good morning.
Well, good morning.
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with, Armellini's obviously in a lot, has his fingers in a lot of the logistics in terms of obviously transportation and importation and all those sort of things. So what's going on in the trucking world?
The trucking side of it is, after COVID, it's we're pretty much back to, I would say, close to full strength on our flower volume. We have over the last, let's say, 5 years, we've tried to diversify a fair amount in hauling other perishable products, whether it's cheese or butter or yogurt or any of those specialty products. We're really going after that stuff that's 5-10 pallets that we can put in the truck to help fill it, but also to limit how many stops our drivers are making. So it helps diversify us revenue wise, but also tries to help our drivers out some for making so many stops.
Because trucks can haul more than flowers.
Yeah, anything that likes 36 degrees. We
Right.
Stay away from ethylene products and those kind of things that can hurt the flowers. So it's mainly packaged foods that we're doing, not really produce per se. Doing a fair amount of that. So the combination of that growing and the flower volume coming back, we're at our normal prior to COVID numbers, unfortunately not with the same amount of drivers. We lost some drivers through the whole COVID period, and we've been struggling to hire drivers, as every trucking company in the nation. Anybody who knows me knows that I've been complaining about or talking about the lack of truck drivers over the last 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, easy. And it's only continuing to get worse.
Is that because people have gotten COVID or because they're just out of the marketplace?
It's a little bit of all. About 2/3 of the drivers that we hire on a regular basis were right out of school. And we would spend, 3 months training them before we let them actually be what we would say is a second seat driver in our team operation. But because of COVID, the schools have been shut down for 6 months.
Right.
So not just for us, but the entire trucking industry has not had this new influx of drivers coming into the marketplace. So as drivers retire or drivers, after COVID said, you know what, I can sit on unemployment and collect, 2/3 of what I was making and not have to be on the road. So, we've lost drivers as an industry and there's been no new ones coming in. So it's made it that much worse. Pretty funny that we're getting even less people coming in for the interview and for the driving test, but they get right up to the driving test and don't even show up, even though we call them the day before and confirm. They just don't even show up for it. And we think it's just because now they have a piece of paper to say that to go back to unemployment and say, hey, I tried.
Yeah, we heard the same thing from some wholesalers that I interviewed saying they get applications, but nobody shows up for the interview.
Correct. Yeah, we're battling that as well. So even though our volume has kicked back up, our driver count has not. So we're having to use other outside contractors and do different things. The truck driving world is become so difficult, and it's partially because, as any one of us office people or shop people or any other employment, what I do at home is my time. I can go get drunk, I can go get high, I can do whatever in general I want to do, and as long as I show up to work and do my job, I'm okay. Well, in the driving world, because drivers now, 50% of my drivers every year, I have to do random sample. It used to be 25% a year ago. Now it's 50%. I have to do random samples. So if a driver, got high 5 days ago, and we do a drug test, he's no longer working for us.
Wow.
So it's not only what you do driving, it's also what you do at home from a truck driving. So it's really like a pilot. Pilots get paid more money.
Not now.
Yeah, a lot of them are sitting. We actually have some pilots driving for us. So that's one of the challenges we're facing. And in the driving world, the easiest driver to find is a driver who's home every night. That is what we call a local driver.
Right.
So he works 8 to 5 and he's home every night. And that's in general the lowest paying driver job out there in the industry. The next would be a driver who drives and is out X amount of days, but he's a solo driver. That's the next level of pay up for a driver, and then let's say a little easier to find. The local is the easiest, and the next easiest would be that what we would say is a solo driver. Then the next hardest is somebody who wants to drive as a team, because now not only are you gone probably longer, but you have to live in a confined space with another person. Especially with COVID, that made it even more of a challenge. And then what I would say is the hardest driver to find is a driver who drives team and unloads and does fingerprint unloading. What we would say is, touching every box or every pallet type of thing.
Which is pretty much what you do.
And that's what the flower industry is. So we're not only trying to find drivers, we're trying to find the hardest job it is to recruit for a driver. And when there's so many jobs out there, you can, as a truck driver with a clean record, you can go work for any trucking company in the country tomorrow. Every trucking company is begging for drivers. So you have a choice of where you want to go.
Maybe that's a good segue into some of the terminals you've opened, so you can use a single. Is that true?
Yeah, so we recently bought a facility in Atlanta, just outside of Atlanta, in Tucker, Georgia. We had a terminal up there that we were renting for the last 5 years since we took over an operation up there. But now we went and bought our own facility, put in more refrigeration. So I've got, I think, 12,000 square feet of refrigeration up there, all new. And we're going to do a hub and spoke there, the same as in Monroe, Ohio, which is just outside of Cincinnati. We bought a facility up there and put 10,000 square feet of refrigeration there. And the concept is back to where I was before. So now we can take either a team or a solo driver. I can run a solo driver from Miami to Atlanta, and then hub and spoke out of there where that driver is home every night. So I can run the wholesaler's volume up there, break bulk up there, and then send straight trucks out and deliver, and then have them come home at night, or tractor trailer or whatever, and that driver is home every night. I can do the same to Ohio and run that team, or I can run a solo from Miami to Atlanta and then another solo from Atlanta to Ohio. So I'm quote unquote soloing it with team service up there to Ohio, where I've got 4 straight trucks up there that I just bought, and we'll do local deliveries up there. So we really feel like it provides even a better service for our customer, because not only will we have it in their door second morning, which is what we would do anyway, even if it left out of Miami, but it's the same driver delivering it every day.
Right.
So he gets to know that facility. He knows how they want it. And it's a straight truck backing in there. It's not a tractor trailer backing in there. We've got it, on pallets, whether shrink wrapped or not, depending on the distance and stuff. So it's the same guy every time. And then I can put my California freight, I can drop the California freight in there to Ohio. So now I can not only deliver their Florida product, but their California product at the same time. We're talking to some different people out of Canada and Mexico of maybe having that product drop there. So kind of being a distribution hub. And we want it, 1, for the drivers, 2, because we can offer more products, but 3, I can then service mass market. I can service other food products. So I can deliver that, 5 pallets of cheese or whatever it is to those distribution centers as well. So it gives me expanded diversity diversification in our company.
Is Ohio opened at this point?
Yes, Ohio opened about 2 months ago.
All right. So moving perhaps a little broader to imports and stuff. There's been a lot of complaints, I guess, or at least concern that it's taking 48 hours or more to get flowers from South America landed in Miami.
William, we've always known, you and I have been doing this long enough, that the airlines, when not much else is moving, the airlines like to fly flowers because it keeps their plane busy. If there's freight going down to South America and flowers coming back, flowers are a nice byproduct of, okay, I make my money bringing southbound washers and dryers and whatever down to South America, and flowers gets me back home, back as a return trip. As time has gone on, South America has dried up sometime as an economy. So not as much as going southbound. So it puts more pressure on that northbound leg, and rates go up because of that. Then you throw in COVID, which has just thrown a major monkey wrench into this. And it's a couple reasons for it. You have which I found pretty interesting, that general freight that's being flown, 60% of it, of the freight that is flown on planes, was on passenger planes.
Belly cargo, yep.
Belly cargo. So when you take all of those planes out of rotation because nobody's flying, now there's a tremendous amount of pressure on cargo planes. So even though passengers went to nothing, cargo is skyrocketing. So now you have these planes that were flying back and forth to South America, hauling flowers, trying to keep themselves busy. All of a sudden, somebody's paying them a lot more money to go fly other places. And then you throw on the fact that, with COVID, that now China is back. They can't get the freight here quick enough on boat and everything to make Christmas and everything else.
Well, they're flying.
Every plane, everybody's flying to China. They're getting $9 a kilo. Now it's obviously a longer flight, but as opposed to $1 a kilo coming out of South America. So all of a sudden, all these, my plane's broke, my plane's this. They're flying to China, and all of these airlines are pulling planes out of rotation and putting it there. So it's putting more pressure. So yes, flowers we were spoiled for many, many years of, you bring your flowers to the airport and the next morning they're sitting in Miami 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Since the 70s when you and I started doing this craziness, it happened up until probably the last 5 years. Then now all of a sudden it's taken 2 days, sometimes 3 days.
Sort of reminds me of the island where there's like the plane, when they see the plane coming now, hey, we got a plane today, we can get flowers out of here.
Yes. So that's been a big challenge, and it has ripple effects because that, what people would fly typically on a Monday would typically catch our Wednesday. If worse comes to worse, it would catch our Thursday trucks.
Oh, right.
Now all of a sudden that Monday flight, a lot of times, if it's lucky, is catching my Friday trucks. And if not, it's boiling over to Monday. So our Monday and Friday volume has increased while the other days have actually gone down in some cases. Right.
Not what you want either.
Not necessarily what we want from a logistics company of having two spikes and other days smaller. So it's had this crazy ripple effect. It's sometimes you ask for something and you get it, and you don't want it.
Well, you spent the last 10 years getting stuff off Monday and Friday.
Correct. And now we're trying to push people from Friday back to Thursday, which Thursday over the years has grown to be a really big day for us. Thursday has really shrunk because a wholesaler doesn't want the boxes in their cooler Saturday morning because a lot of wholesalers aren't working on Saturdays. They've taken real advantage of this, and most wholesalers are closed by 1 o'clock and not working Saturdays.
Sure.
So they're saying, no, just put it on the Friday truck.
All right. Hey, what's going on in California? The fires, I haven't really been able to get good information there. Is the fires affected any growers? Not that I'm aware of, right?
No, not that I'm aware of either. Luckily, it stayed away from, Oxnard where we're at, and it stayed away from the flower growing regions in general. So we haven't had trouble with that part of it. It's held us up on occasion getting a truck from Northern California to Southern or something like that on our, as a shuttle coming down. But in general, that's one of the least problems they have in California when it comes to flower growing.
Yeah, water and everything else going on is a big concern.
Yeah,
Labor, I'm sure.
They've got their challenges. It's made it more challenging for all of us hauling out of California. With Ocean View backing out of the market. Even though a lot of it wasn't grown by Ocean View, it was grown by other people. So they're coming around and starting to sell their own products. But it's tough in California. And that's the reason that we, about 4 years ago, bought a trucking company up in the Pacific Northwest to take those greens, the huck and the salal and the branches and Christmas greens, and bring that down to Oxnard to help fill our trucks coming out of California, along with those other products that we're hauling of the other refrigerated freight, to keep us doing okay coming out of California, because the volume of California flowers itself has really shrunk over time.
Over the last 10 years again. Yeah,
South America has done a wonderful job of targeting everything they grow and growing it better and less expensive, because they don't have California taxes and California labor and everything else to throw on top of it. So it's been interesting coming out of there. Luckily for us, we have the Pacific Northwest, which has helped us a lot.
So what do you see in the long term here? The struggle maintains. Drivers, again, probably being your biggest concern, because you can't move trucks without drivers.
Yeah, I think, a couple things will happen. One, we're trying this new distribution model, which will help us some. I think in the next X amount of years, the driverless trucks will become more and more prevalent. So it won't necessarily work for us, but it may mean that we gain some of those drivers that were doing that type of work. So we can gain a little bit from that side. In the future, William, it's scary to say, but I can see in the future where, either we make less stops in a city, or it's going to be a requirement that the wholesaler has people there when we get there, and they have to do the unloading, and the driver just backs up to the place.
It used to be that way, Dave. I think 50 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. Actually, in Canada, that's the way it has to work. If you're a U.S. carrier, you can't, via labor laws, you can't unload, because that's work you're doing in Canada.
Okay.
So you have to back up to their dock, and they have to unload it, as if you're a U.S. carrier in Canada. We don't haul there anymore, but that's what, if you're a U.S. carrier, that's what's happening up there because of their labor laws. And I could see someday, obviously, as the big wholesalers, the chains continue to buy more people. The good news in general about the chains is that they understand distribution. They do try and find facilities that have a dock and have a dock plate. So that helps our drivers.
In and out quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes life easier than, trying to unload 300 boxes on a ground delivery through a personnel door. Those days are really, they're getting numbered. We have drivers that just refuse to go to certain places. Now that's too hard to drop. I'm not gonna take that load.
Most of everything's traveling on pallets these days.
We're probably 20%, let's say, on pallets. A lot of times the pallets help, but unless you have a good dock that has a nice dock plate, that, it's not a foot difference between the trailer. Right. Because if you're not level, by the time you take that pallet off, it falls and you end up restacking it anyway.
Yeah.
So our drivers, a lot of my drivers will tell you they'd rather, bring the pallet in and only load it half full and pull it out, because the cooler door is only so high, or their dock door is only so high. So there's a lot of variables that go along with it. It's not like backing up to a grocery store that has the right height trailer and it matches perfectly, and they come in with a forklift and grab it and pull it off. Then pallets really work. But there certainly are some wholesalers that have that, but a lot of them have docks, but they're not easy docks.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, carrying the flowers down the three flights of stairs into the cellar doesn't sort of work anymore.
Yeah, the drivers just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, you basically got to keep your drivers happy. Happy drivers, like wives, are good drivers, you know.
It's at this point, I can gain more customers. I'm having more trouble gaining drivers. So I treat drivers really like a customer, because that's how important they are to us. I try and meet with every new driver that we hire. I sit down with them for an hour and talk about what we do, how we do, and try and give them the lay of the land, because they're our lifeblood, is the drivers.
Yeah. Have you experimented with any? You got any EV trucks on the books?
No, haven't done that yet. The electronic, I mean, the battery operated, they would work okay between Miami and Palm City for us, or Miami and Pearson. You know, you really need to have those charging stations, and you know, that's designed for a truck that's home every day. They haven't perfected it going, you know, that 1,000 miles and back.
Well, maybe if we're having this conversation 5 years from now, Dave, maybe that'll be a different story, because it appears that they're coming down. They're coming.
Yeah, no, and I welcome all that to come. You know, if it can help us with fuel economy, or no fuel economy in that case, and just pay for the electric. But it's, as driverless trucks, it's got a ways to go. They're having challenges with cars, with batteries blowing up and those kind of things. So they'll fix those. But
Yeah.
There's still some hurdles to get over before you really get into trying to pull 80,000 pounds around on a regular basis.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that gives my readers a good idea of what's going on in logistics. It's not simple. It never has been simple, but obviously COVID has made it much more challenging in a lot of ways. And hopefully someday we can go back to going to conventions and planes flying and stuff like that. But obviously this is going to be, we're in this for a while yet.
Yeah, it's made it a little more challenging, no doubt. For all of us throughout the whole floral industry, all segments have felt it and are dealing with it. You know, labor is our biggest thing, trying to get people in all different parts, whether it's in the shop, whether it's on our warehouse. Trying to get employees is one of the biggest challenges that we have out there today. And you know, the one thing I would add is we just spent a bunch of money and a bunch of time. We just put a brand new computer system in. I know you just had Alex on.
From Comet, yeah.
Comet. So we just hired him for the last 2 years to build us a new system. So about a month ago, we put 5 new computer systems in all at once.
Wow.
Dispatch to billing to routing.
And you have some hair left.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it's starting to provide its benefits now after, you know, coming close to 2 months of being up, and hopefully giving our customers more technology and better visibility to what's coming to them, when it's getting to them, because that's really a lot of what we are, is technology anymore.
Information flow.
Yeah, with so many boxes, I mean, we're handling, you know, a given week, it's 160,000 boxes, because boxes have gotten so small, it's a lot of pieces. And so
yeah, that used to be 10 boxes.
It's crazy. You know, I tell people that, you know, we used to load the truck and it had 600 full boxes in it. Now we're loading a truck with 1,800 boxes in it, and there's no more flowers.
Same amount, yeah. Just a lot more cardboard.
Just a lot more handling on my warehouse and in our drivers, and for the customer, for the wholesaler. But they like it because it's less you know, it just goes right out the door for them.
Yeah, well, that's why, you know, scanning is so important, because smaller labels, you can't read them anyway. They're stuck on a box. Smaller boxes mean smaller labels.
Yeah, label, it's become a prime real estate, the end of a box. We fight over whose real estate that is.
Yeah, the grower wants to know what's in the box, and the receiver wants to know what's in the box, but you got to get it to them.
Yeah, and we know what's in the box because the grower now tells us what's in the box, so we can display that on the computer, but when they're in their warehouse pulling that box, they want to know which box has the mums and which box has what color roses, because there's 1,000 color roses. They need to know which one, and so that's where the fight on the real estate comes in. But it's interesting.
Well, some things never change, so we'll be having similar conversations from years from now. But all right, well, thank you for your time, and enjoy this, and I will edit it and get it out to you, and we'll go from there.
All right, thanks, Willie. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a nice day. Thank you.